Hey guys, welcome back to Aviation Explainer. Today, for 100 subscribers, we are going to have a fancy release and update, so please stay tuned for that. As for today's episode, we're going to be discussing airlines in Australia, why some of them have crashed and burned of recent, and why some of them are really doing well. Whether you agree with this or not, that's up to you. Leave a comment. I would love to hear about it because I really believe that the world's got a lot of opinions and I'm down to hear them all. So this is my opinion. Please feel free to argue it. These are just some key points that I've come up with. So one, I had the intense competition. Low cost and legacy airlines, both Rex and Bonza, operate in a competitive environment where low-cost carriers like Jetstar and Tiger Air previously dominate in this budget segment. And larger established airlines like Qantas have a stronger market share. Competing with such giants can be challenging, especially with newer airlines. Route competitiveness. Many regional and budget routes are already served or with established airlines, or making it smaller for newer airlines to gain market share. Lower priced alternatives like Bonza's model are more often undercut by established low-cost carriers. Operational costs, fuel costs and rising fuel costs are significant factors in all airlines. Smaller carriers, especially those without a massive global network, may struggle with this and negotiating power, as airlines with that by bulk will actually have a stronger advantage in negotiating. Aircraft maintenance. Older fleets like those of Rex, which operate smaller numbers of regional turboprop aircraft, can face higher maintenance costs. Additionally, even newer aircraft come with ongoing repair, insurance and operational expenses. Market conditions. Market size and demand fluctuations. Airlines for serving regional and less popular routes often struggle with inconsistent demand. For example, Rex has worked primarily in regional Australia. While it's a necessary service, demand can fluctuate based on seasonality and economic conditions, or even natural disasters. Economic slowdowns in recessions and downturns, like those caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, hurt airlines significantly. While demand for travel often shrinks, fixed costs like aircraft leasing and staff and insurance remain high. Investment and financing challenges. Limited access to capital. Smaller airlines have less access to capital than larger airlines, and it can make it difficult for them to fund growth. Investment in new aircraft, or whether periods of financial instability. For example, if an airline is trying to expand and doesn't have enough investors or backing or creditworthiness, it can face issues scaling up and staying afloat. Debt. If an airline has too much debt, for example, from financing aircraft or expanding its network, servicing this debt can take up to a significant proportion of revenues, leaving little for reinvestment into operational growth. 5. Regulatory hurdles. Licensing and regulations. New entrants to the market like Bonza often have to navigate complex regulatory requirements, which can be costly. These include obtaining routes, air traffic rights, and compliance with aviation safety and environmental regulations. For smaller carriers, the costs of staying compliant and maintaining safety standards are considerable. Customer experience and brand loyalty. Building a customer base. Airlines like Rex and Bonza may struggle with customer loyalty, especially if their service offerings don't stand out from its competitors. For example, budget carriers often deal with complaints over limited amenities for flights, delays and cancellations, which could erode brand loyalty. External shocks. Global crises in the aviation industry is vulnerable to crises such as COVID-19 pandemic, which severely hurt air travel. Smaller carriers like Rex and Bonza have less flexibility to absorb these shocks, making it more challenging to recover with significant financial support or restructuring. Natural disaster and global political events. Incidents like natural disasters, which could affect airports, regions they serve, or geopolitical tensions can also harm small airlines, especially if they rely on particular regions on international travel. Bonza's challenges. Bonza, the new low-cost carrier into Australia, faced particularly tough market challenges. Although it launched focused on regional routes, it struggled with several key issues. Funding. Bonza's business model was highly dependent on venture capital or investment, which can be difficult to secure, particularly in a saturated market. Market entry. Competing with established carriers and gaining consumer trust was a steep hurdle. As low-cost airlines, it was hard to build a brand where market passengers that used to fly with established carriers like Qantas or Virgin Australia. Flight network and demand. Bonza's network focused on routes underserved by larger airlines, but building consistent demand for these services often proved to be a challenge. Rex's challenge. Rex, primarily a regional carrier in Australia, had been in business for a while, initially survived due to its niche focus on regional flights. However, it faced its own set of hurdles. Fleet limitation. Rex uses a fleet of smaller turboprop aircraft which are ideal for short regional flights, but not as efficient or competitive on longer routes compared to larger jets. This limited Rex's ability to expand its reach or attract a larger customer base. Financial strain. Operating a smaller fleet and serving less populated routes means Rex had lower revenues per flight, which could have left them vulnerable in economic fluctuations or increased in operational costs. Both airlines struggled to maintain profitability in the face of these challenges. Whether or not the carriers completely collapsed or face a restructure would depend on how they adapt to the market pressures and they are facing, including securing adequate financing, dealing with competitiveness, and maintaining strong operational efficiencies. Would you like more in-depth information on these specific points, or would you just like what I did? Please give me your opinion, as I am quite interested in this, and I do believe there's something going on in the Australian aviation industry that is stopping us from growing the industry. So please leave your opinions in the comments and like and subscribe. Thank you.